So what if I told you it's possible to set up a trading bot that can manage $300,000 in less than 30 minutes? Would you believe me? Well, today I'm actually going to prove it to you, because in this video, I'm going to walk you through the entire process, the tools, the shortcuts, and the logic, and show you exactly what it takes to launch a serious high capital bot in under 30 minutes. And before we get into the steps, I'm going to give you a way of thinking about this that is going to make absolutely everything click for you. So think about something high stakes like climbing Mount Everest. Two people can stand at the same base camp with the same gear, the same weather, the same opportunity. The difference isn't strength or courage, it's actually preparation. One climber has already mapped the route, rehearsed every single stage of the ascent, and knows exactly how they're going to respond when conditions change. The other plans to just figure it out on the way up. So the first is going to reach the summit because the plan absorbs the uncertainty, and the second, he turns back the moment the mountain stops cooperating. And that is exactly what happens when you're dealing with 6 or 7 figure trading systems. If you don't understand your levels, your capital deployment, and your worst case scenarios before you even begin, the market becomes this Mount Everest without a map. You're trusting luck in a place where luck never lasts. A proper plan, it's not optional, it's the only thing that can get you to the top. And if you're wondering why this level of preparation matters, it's because most traders are battling the same 3 problems long before they ever hit a liquidation screen. And the first problem is inconsistency. People bounce between strategies, signals, and indicators, and every win or lose becomes emotional fuel. It's exhausting trying to trade when every single decision just feels like guesswork. And the second problem is time. You see, no one has hours each day to watch every move that the markets make. So life gets in the way, and the moment you step back, the market reminds you that it doesn't actually wait for anyone. And the third problem is the one that keeps people up at night, is the fear of an absolute catastrophic major loss. Now, most traders know deep down that they don't actually have a risk model that can survive a real downtrend. They're exposed even if they don't want to admit it. These are the exact issues that a system solves. It removes inconsistency, it eliminates the need for constant monitoring, and replaces fear with a disciplined risk engine designed around capital preservation. And this is why the plan matters, this is why the system matters, and this is why we prepare before we start. And just so you know, this isn't theory. People in our community are already running this exact system with serious capital. We're talking about setups in the $100,000 range built on the same logic that you're about to learn, and they're not just surviving, they're compounding month after month. These are regular people who followed the process, set the parameters correctly, and simply let the automation execute the plan as designed. And when you see accounts of that size producing consistent returns, it tells you one thing, that this approach is stable under clear weight and that it actually scales. And a big part of that stability is how we use the power law, not as a prediction tool, but as a risk model that protects downside when the market goes places that most bots are simply not built for. That's the difference between this and every other bot out online. They give you buttons to press. We give you a system that understands the terrain. Now, let me show you how to build a $300,000 trading bot. And I'm going to be doing it using videos that I shot earlier today. These are the same steps that I use internally, and once you see them laid out, you'll realize just how simple this process becomes when the heavy lifting has already been done for you. So let's walk through them one by one. All right, so what we're going to do is open up the Minotaur calculator, and this is basically the shortcut to the entire system. So this is the part that most traders kind of do on their own. They don't understand drawdown curves, deal depth, scaling levels, and capital exposure. And normally that kind of thing takes months of modeling to figure out. But the Minotaur calculator here that we use compresses all of that into just a few clicks. So this isn't really just a tool, it's actually a shortcut, because it's going to be able to show you the full behavior of the system before we even start to deploy the capital into the trades. So what you're going to be able to see when we start to program this is instantly the pressure tested ranges, the worst case scenarios, and whether the setup can survive the volatility that Bitcoin in this instance could potentially throw at it. So again, most people try to just set this stuff manually or on the fly, and they end up just keeping guessing about all this stuff. This calculator is simply going to remove the guesswork and give you the same insight our high-level clients use to run 6 and 7 figure setups safely. So let's just jump in and take a look. So I want you to see in the top corner of the screen here, this is a little unhappy. It means we don't have enough capital for this setup. So what I'm going to do is we're going to enter some numbers. Right now, the price is around 94,000. And what we're going to do is we're going to set our wallet size to 300,000, right? You can see that there. And then here we go, we've got some settings. Now, these settings are basically going to be quite ideal for the scenario that we're currently in. And I'm going to show you why. I'm going to just switch to this screen. We've had this huge drawdown. It's all the way around 30% down, 34% down. The market is very, very bearish at the moment. But I'm seeing this huge liquidity pool here, and I believe that's going to get taken out very soon. So we've got this big run up here, potentially around 65%. So what I want to do is I want to create a bot that's going to be able to absorb a drawdown all the way down to these levels here, where I see the danger zone and around, the liquidity pool here can potentially be taken out, but I want to be protected all the way down to power law support, which is around the 39K mark. We'll talk about that later, but really I want to take advantage of this move up. So let's come back to the calculator, put in our 300,000. Now, I know that using around a 10% position size relative to the bot size can work. I'm going to go a bit lower than 10%. I'm going to put in 20,000. And 20,000. Now, this is basically a neutral setup. It's a 1-to-1 ratio. Now, you can go either offensive, which is a 2-to-1 ratio, neutral, a 1-to-1 ratio, or you can go a 1-to-2 ratio, which is more defensive. So right now, we're going to go to a 2-to-1 ratio to make it much more offensive. So we're going to put that base order to $40,000, the safety order to $2,000. We're going to leave the rest of the settings as they are. And now we can see right now how everything's gone green. So we're going to have basically a 40% coverage in price, which is going to basically cover what I said before, this potential range all the way down here, potentially get us all the way down here. And you can see here our liquidation levels at 39K. I'm going to show why that number is really important later on. And then we can see that the required capital to run this is 136,000. So we've got a huge amount of reserves here. The capital is going to be deployed really, really well. And we can also test this at high prices. So let's just say the price went to 130,000. Here we go, some changes, beautiful. You can see that it's well handling these ranges still, these really nice levels. So effectively, if we went to 130, which is here, would be protected all the way down to at least these levels here, well below that liquidity pool. And I'm going to again show you why that number 54 is a nice one for me to use. So this is how I'm using the calculator to set up. So let's move on to the next part. All right, now I'm going to show you how to input the master settings into the actual algorithm itself. So this part is really simple because we've literally done all the hard work for you. We've spent over $1 million and thousands of hours developing, testing, and refining this exact strategy that we can share with you on TradingView. And clients in our program get direct access to the exact TradingView algorithm that you're going to see right now. So you don't have to build anything from scratch. You don't have to do any kind of coding. That's already been done. And of course, you don't have to figure out indicator signals or any of these kind of scaling rules because again, we've already done that for you. Everything is embedded in the code. So all you have to do is just plug this in and the system is going to handle the rest. So let's dive in and input the algorithm. So as you can see here, we've got the chart. We're going to actually go onto a 15-minute because that works the best for our strategy. So we're going to go on the 15-minute. We're going to bring in the price to auto fit the data. And we're going to come in. Now I've got a lot of algos here. Okay, so as you can see, I've now got the algorithm from the VIP section and I've got it there. And we can see that the trades are now starting to pile up. And then you can see the entries, the exits. So what's happening is this getting put into the data. So what I'm going to do is just give you an idea of exactly how this algorithm is working. Just take a look at these, or look at these entries here. We're able to really pick up these local bottoms. Absolute precision. The scaling logic is deployed extremely effectively here. You can see with these orders. And this is how we're able to bring down that weighted average price. And right now we're rallying up. All we need to do is eventually get to that green line. And that's where our take profit is hit. And the money is going to come. That's basically how it works. But what we're going to need to do is program it for right here, right now. So the time now is 3rd of December. So let's go all the way to 2025, December, 3rd of December, and the time is 9:15. Put it there. Perfect. There we go. You can see those orders have gone. Okay, great. Now there's only a few things we need to fill in. Now there's lots of settings that you get, but you need to really ignore most of them unless you really get into the deep side of this. But this algo is more like a Swiss Army knife. So there's so much you can do. But what I'm just going to do is I'm going to put in the settings that we got before. So just to let you know what I'm doing, I'm going to be importing the settings that we worked out in the calculator, as you can see right here, and I'm going to be importing them here on the algo. Just making sure everything is the same, 1.225, 1.5. Okay, great. Now the settings are programmed. I can click OK and save. And that is going to be ready now to make its first entry. Once the price goes over this line right here, it's going to be able to wait for its perfect entry and execute its first trade. And next we need to connect the algorithm to the software that it's going to execute the trade on the exchange via API. Okay, so now we're going to deploy the bot using this software. Now we're actually building our own software. It's going to be released probably in 2026. So if you're watching this video in 2026, this will be replaced. However, this is always the part that everyone overthinks, because when the groundwork is done properly, deployment is simply pressing the start button, and the real work has already happened in the preparation that we've already done in the other steps. Okay, so again, we know we've set everything up. So all we're going to do is do our naming. We're going to put in our pair. We're going to get rid of that because we're just going to be trading Bitcoin. We've got our exchange set up. And what we're going to do is we're going to set the cross margin. Now, we're using a cross margin account. The actual leverage is much less than 5. It's usually around 1.8 to 2.2, the maximum that will get used. However, I do use 5 because it just leaves more reserves in the account, basically using less of my own capital to deploy. And this is a strategy that's a cross margin strategy. Maybe I can do a video and teach people how to do that. But more importantly, let's have a look at TradingView custom signal, right? So we can ignore absolutely everything else because we're simply not going to be using it. So this take profit stuff, we're going to just simply change it to TradingView custom signal. We're going to turn that off. So as you can see, we're not actually using really anything here. We're just connecting our exchange. We're setting our first order type, and everything's going to be done through TradingView. This is why it's so important to have access to the trading algorithm, because that's what's going to do all the work. It's not the bots that do the work. It's actually the algorithm, and that's the strategy that we've built at Minotaur Trading Systems. So just want to double check everything. That looks absolutely right. Nothing. I'm just going to put this to 0 because it doesn't make a difference. So again, here we go. Trade start condition, take profit condition, done. Okay, I'm really happy with that. So I'm going to go ahead and start the bot, and bang, there we go. That bot is ready to go. Now there's one thing left to do, and I'm simply have to add these webhooks to the TradingView algorithm, and I'm going to do that right now. Okay, here's our algorithm waiting to start, and what we're going to do is we're going to come and get the bot ID. I'm going to double click here, Minotaur bot ID, and then we're going to get this email token. You can see it here. I've saved it. Email token. Bang, I'm going to put in there. And I'm going to confirm everything else is good to go. Perfect, done. Save. Great. Now, lastly, we're just going to create an alert. That's the last thing we're going to do here. So let's just quickly go to the alert, turn it on. Got that there. Open-ended. Perfect. Message. Going to turn that off. 300. Okay, I'm going to create that bot. That alert. I just need to copy something from this one. Here we go. Copy that. Come back here, there. Message. It's just a message that needs to go in there to send it. Double checked. Fantastic. And that is how you set up the bot in less than 30 minutes. Now, the last thing I want to do is I want to confirm the power law protection, because we work with PhD physicist Giovanni Santastasi, and he helped us develop our risk management strategy. And this is the absolute final check. So what we've got to do is we've got to make sure that the scaling matches the power law model, which is the deepest levels that fit the behavior of Bitcoin. And we've got to make sure that our capital allocation aligns with the system's mathematical logic, because when it aligns, the bot can withstand volatility that most traders never plan for. And when you finally see the bot running this smoothly, even in wild markets, that's when you realize that you've built something that's ready and designed to weather any storm, and you can deploy 6 to 7 figures on. Let's come back to our calculator here. We'll just put the price to where it is right now, which is 96,000. We can see now we're going to have a 40% deviation, and our liquidation price is going to be around that 40K mark. So if we come down here and have a look where the power law support is, beautiful, it's around 41K. So I'm protected below this point here. Now, again, this is just the first point of defense. Now, that's a little bit tight, but I've always keep around 10 to 15% in stablecoin reserves in case I'd need to bring that down further. But there are some other strategies we can use. However, what I actually think is more important is over here, the projection that eventually we're going to touch it at around 64,000, because I don't think we're going to go down like this. I don't think that's going to happen. I think we're going to continue on this cycle and eventually touch it over here. So protecting it down here, again, You always want to be able to, but I'm running it tight because I actually want to be protected more for here, which is at 69K range. So now I'm going to come back here and just see what could potentially happen. Again, we could go back. Well, again, the market peak, probably going to be around 150,000 if it gets that high. Again, it doesn't really matter. This strategy is price agnostic, but we still want to be planning properly. So we put in the price at 150,000. Great, fantastic. So you can see that if we come back here, 62, bang, 62, perfect. So again, I've got reserves. I can bring that down, but you can see I'm just lining it up perfectly now. I'm using that math. Again, there's a lot of strategies you can use to protect these positions, but this is going to work really well. So again, that all lines up beautifully with the power law. So I'm happy with the mathematics that I've used and how my capital is going to deploy it. So now all I've got to do is watch how this bot performs. So now that you've seen every step of the process, from mapping out the risk model to running the calculator, plugging in the master settings, deploying the bot, and confirming the power law protection, and when you put that all together, you see how straightforward it actually really is, how this is really just a plug and play system. The hard work was done long before you even press start. All you had to do was just follow the system, check the levels, and then execute the plans based on the information that we give you. That's how I was able to set up a fully automated bot, one capable of manage around $300,000 of capital in less time than it takes to watch an episode of Seinfeld. Now, that was the promise, and you've just watched me deliver on it. Now, we've helped more than 300 clients build fully automated 6- and 7-figure trading systems using the exact same framework. If you want to take the next step, you'll find everything you need in the links below, including how to book a call with our team. And if you want to see what this looks like at serious scale, go watch the video where I break down a live $1.2 million position running on the exact same engine that you learned today. It's the clearest example of how the plan, the automation, and the capital all come together. Now, if you don't build a bot today, at least be honest with yourself. Do you actually have a plan for your capital, or are you just trusting the market not to hurt you? Are you like that guy at the bottom of Everest who thinks he's going to be able to climb all the way to the top without even having a plan? Because if you're dealing with 6 or 7 figures, hoping is the most costly strategy that you can run. So thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.